My job really doesn't, entail double standards. I work in an office with ladies, so
Yeah, and everyone's treated the same?
everybody's treated equal.
That's great. Okay. And any afterthoughts? Anything else you want to add?
Interesting survey. Interesting.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Do you think it's ever going to change, or it's just like the norm, or it's just like a thing that always happens? It's not a big problem.
Well, I think females have a lot more power now than years before.
How?
Which shows, like, I guess you could say the Jersey Shore, could knock them down.
Yeah.
And it takes some society back a few steps.
So when you say women have more power, how? Like,
well,
how?
look at Tiger Woods' wife, Eve. Like, she wasn't made out to be the bad person. It was all Tiger was made out to be the bad
You don't
person.
think you?
So that's why I think it's all starting to come. Well,
Do you think she is the bad person, or do you think he was right doing that?
No, not right. But 10 years ago, would that even have been a big deal?
Would it?
I feel like it wouldn't have been.
Okay.
But now, I mean, she's getting millions and millions of dollars because he slept with a lot of women.
Yeah.
So, and this ruined his golf career. He was number one in the world for 6 years, and now he's just devastated by losing his wife. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Makes sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Back to what you were saying about how you said that Angelina you saw as the villain because everything. Would you change your mind now after what you were saying about how it's not fair how if like a girl brings home guys and this and that, she is considered a slut, but it's not fair? Because we looked into how if someone got cheated on, they always look at the girl as the slut, or they pick her, or they hate her, and not the guy.
She's seen as a villain, but like people forget, like in cheating relationships, a lot of times that both the male and female involved, like the male who cheated on the woman, and then the woman involved, they're both equally at fault.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And do you think this is ever going to change in society? Or is it just like the norm? The norm, you don't see it changing? It's okay if you don't, I mean.
Push me the answer.
No, I'm just saying.
Not too soon, maybe eventually. I mean, slowly but surely.
You think? But you don't think it's right?
What's not right?
The double standard.
The double standard.
Oh, correct.
Correct. Do you think the world would be different if a double standard was switched? What?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And any afterthoughts on this? Double standard, anything else you want to add? All right, thank you. Yeah, and do you think it's ever going to change?
Probably, yes, I think so.
How do you think it will?
Because women are defending their rights always more intensely.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it will change, but it will take a long time.
Yeah. And do you think females, they allow this to happen though, and allow this to occur?
I think some of them do.
They do?
Uh-huh.
All right.
I think they don't value
Yes.
themselves
Mm-hmm.
good, and so sometimes they don't defend herself.
Mm-hmm. So if you had any advice to girls, what would you say?
I would say don't let you be treated like that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. If you were talking to us and you told us about it, would you say different things, or would you be a little bit use different words, or would you expect a different reaction than with the guys?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't really use a whole lot of different words because how I am. I'm not that guy that gloats about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would expect a different reaction.
Okay. And Do you have any like personal experiences? Do you think? I mean, it's not. We're not saying you're a bad person if like you do this, but do you feel like you fall in the category of treating people with a double standard?
Yeah.
But how?
Like, if you hear about a girl being a slut or whatever, you know, I usually just like, alright, yeah, she is. But with a guy, I know when guys hook up with a lot of people, I think they're kind of dirty too.
Mhm.
So, but I would never. That doesn't change the way I view them as much as more as the girl being.
As the
slut.
girl has
Yeah.
more effect with the girl.
Yeah.
And
Like, I still see it as a guy, but it doesn't
Yeah.
affect me as much.
yeah. And do you think it's ever going to change? Do you think this is just like the norm, or like anything?
So it'll change a little bit, but I don't think anything really noticeable. Because times are always changing. Like, just look how much more power the women have now than they did back then. So,
But do they really have all that power?
no, they
When
can
you still
vote.
say that we have that
They
double
can-
standard?
They can vote and they can work.
Yeah, but do you believe that in the work world there aren't any double standards there?
I guess so, yeah.
You do?
Mhm.
Okay. Alright, thank you. To help that, or do you think people just go along with it just to go along with it?
No, I think it's pretty much an accepted norm.
Mm-hmm.
So people are just used to it. It's not going to change. It's in the culture right now. So I don't think it's going to change. I don't think anything's going to help it.
Alright, thank you.
It's like the homosexuals and their allies against whatever, and it's just before they wouldn't have even said that they were homosexual or anything. They would have hid it away and they wouldn't have said anything about it. But as society becomes more accepting of things that aren't as familiar, they're able to be themselves and actually express their views on that issue.
But with that, why do you, I mean, as you say, I agree with you, but when you say that they aren't as familiar, then what's the big issue between men and women with a double standard? Because, I mean, I think everyone's familiar with a woman,
Yeah.
everyone's familiar with a man. So why is that still an issue today in 2010?
I'd say because it's been an issue throughout all of history, because it's been a patriarchal society, well, for the most part, since the beginning of time, and it was always, because it was the men in charge, you had to keep the women in line, you had to keep them just doing their duties, otherwise you would have women that wanted to actually be in power and everything. So in order to do that, they portrayed it on society, like if a woman did certain things, then she wasn't a real woman, she was a nuisance, she was an upstart, and that she didn't belong in society. And those ideas have just continued. Like, they've been filtered out slowly, and it's a continuous process. It's not at the point yet where it's like in like the workplace and different things. Like, no offense, but I do think there are there's certain areas where men and women have different strengths.
Yeah.
And people can't deny it.
Would you
But it's like,
where do you feel? This is fine, like, I want to hear your thoughts.
A woman, like, whenever it's dealing with, like, actual people, women are a lot more sensitive to people's feelings. But if you put a woman out on, like, a work site and tell her to lift up a big heavy beam for a guy, it's, like, I know that's, like, a societal thing, and that's, like, oh, this is the man's work, oh, this is the woman's work. A lot of it deals with, like, strengths and weaknesses. I mean, it depends on, like, what people are interested in.
But is that a generalization? Because, I mean, I know some pretty strong women, and I know some pretty sensitive
I'm not saying it
men.
applies to everyone. It's just like an example.
Do you think that's a problem, though, that people generalize things like that?
I think it is an issue that people generalize a lot. I think that everybody should have their chance, but after you give them that chance, if that isn't what fits them, then why would you, like, force them into that mold, or force, like, other people that are better at that, whatever it is, to step aside while the person who's underqualified has that chance?
Okay. So, with this issue, I mean, is there anything you can give advice to help change it, or any afterthoughts of what we've discussed?
I just say it's just a process that's ongoing. Like, there's a lot of initiatives out there to work on it. There's a lot of people that feel very strongly about it, but until society as a whole gets more exposed throughout, our generation's more exposed to it than the previous generation. As you move through the years, it's slowly getting filtered out, because, well, the generation before you raises you, and parents are the biggest influence on your life.
Yep.
And the way your parents were raised, and it just continues down through there. But I think as it gets farther and farther through the years, it'll slowly go away.
All right, thank you. Do you think it should be normal for this to occur?
No, I don't think it should be normal.
Yeah.
I just think like since everybody has been doing the same,
Mhm.
like even like we see it normal and we
Mhm.
shouldn't.
Do you think it's ever going to change, or like how do you think if it would?
I think it's changing.
It's
like,
changing.
I think like with all the non-discrimination and that stuff,
Mhm.
the stereotypes are beginning to break down.